Hey guys, welcome to Podcast Fandom Premium. I'm your host, Nina.
And I'm Donald.
And we are back to discuss Money Heist Korea Joint Economic Zone something.
I think that's it.
I think it's area, that's it. It's the JEA, the Joint Economic Area. Y'all are probably like, but we never got the finale of the Spanish Money Heist, and you're not wrong. You did not get that because we have not recorded that yet. Life happened, then things happened, and then stuff happened, and then other shows happened, and then more life happened. Life changes happened. So sincere apologies. I'm joking it off because I'm mortified, but sincerest apologies. We will get to that. I actually wanted to do it last weekend, but Donnie just reminded me because of his change in work schedule last week. We actually didn't get to do a couple of shows that we had planned to do last week, but I didn't want to put this one off anymore because I did want to put out the other finale before we even dove into this. But I have Donnie sitting here now, so we are recording it. If we have time, we still have to do one other show after this. If we have time, I will do the Money Heist Spain finale, and then this is all moot. But if not, I have bumped that to next weekend. So in the meantime, though, you can listen to us talk about Nico, our thoughts on the Korean version, which they're doing very similar to the original in many ways, including only releasing half of the first season at once. And then I think it comes back later this year with the back half 6, right? I think that's how it works. So we're just going to be talking about our overall thoughts on those 6 episodes, and really focusing on the things that are different, obviously, because it makes no sense for us to sit here and talk about the story as if we don't know what happens. So this is, although I will say I will try my best not to spoil future episodes, because I understand that some people may be watching this for the first time without having watched the other Money Heist, and maybe you plan to. So, so we'll try to be as non-spoilery as we can. That said, what did you think? Nico!
Stop.
Did he bite you?
No.
Oh, okay. Woo, Lord Jesus. The podcast was about to hear me yeet this dog out the goddamn window. So what did you think?
It was really good. There was a lot of similarities to the Spanish one, and then there was a lot of things that they changed. But even like it threw me off because even when I first started it, even some of the lines were like spot on, like they're exactly the exact same thing that somebody else said, and it's like that was kind of weird. But then I like the differences. I do like what they did there. I will say I enjoyed this Tokyo a lot more.
Yes, I told you.
And I have a bigger crush on this Tokyo
than the last
other Tokyo. But I liked. She's not even annoying in my opinion.
No, not at all. Yeah.
And the same thing with some of the other characters. Like they just were a little bit different.
Yes. And I think like characters like Berlin, you're supposed to not like him to right. Like you're rooting for him in the sense that you're, I guess, supposed to be rooting for the robbers. I think, most of the audience is watching to see not just how they get away, but to see them get away with this. And You know, so you root for him in that regard, but I don't think you're supposed to like Berlin. And I do think that was a failure of the Spanish one, in that they made him very unlikable and then still wanted you to root for him. And they had him do some things that were just terrible. And I'll just leave it there.
Yep.
That this Berlin does not do so far.
Right.
But again, like you said, with Tokyo, even with Tokyo, they made her way more likable. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, that's pretty much it. Like and like the characters that you didn't like in the Spanish one, you still didn't like here. I think they did
the Arturo character.
Arturo is
my God,
just as bad. Like you could see him doing all the same shit. Like he was almost spot on the exact same, in my opinion. Like I think that's one character that didn't change a whole lot. But I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. I do feel like it was compact though. I felt like it moved a lot faster than the Spanish version did. Because Spanish version, I think this whole heist took 2 seasons, where they did this in half a season. Well, because
they're not done.
Episodes. Huh?
Well, they're not done though.
I know we got 6 more episodes.
Right.
But I felt like it was a lot faster than the Spanish version.
Yeah, so I agree. I really enjoyed this. And I don't, like... I'm trying to figure out if... I feel like the reason I like this more so far, and you may have a different experience because you watch it dubbed, right?
Yeah.
I watch it subbed for obvious reasons. And I feel like I watched the Spanish version dubbed because I was, like... Typically, like when I first started watching it, it wasn't to podcast. It was like right at the start of the pandemic, and I was just binging to binge it, and I had it on as background noise while I was doing schoolwork and stuff. So I preferred it that way. So I wanted to be able to understand everything that was being said just by listening. And I think that while it wasn't like terrible voiceover work, I do think that it probably affected how much I was able to or not able to connect to the story. I feel like I'm connecting to the people here a bit better. You know what I mean? The characters. Like, but then there's some relationships, some characters that I write in the original that I still really like here, like Moscow and Denver. Like that relationship was always nice, that father-son, you know.
Yes.
Like Moscow was always just really lovable, and you know, you kind of rooted for this guy with his dumb son.
Right.
But yeah, so let me set up the premise. If you guys are wondering, while we're recording, I'm sitting here twisting my hair because we still got, like I said, more podcasts to record, and it's going to go past my bedtime, and I'm tired and I'm old. So the premise is, I forget what year this is set in, and again, because I'm twisting my hair, I don't have very many notes.
It was almost futuristic.
Yeah, because clearly, like it's not necessarily now because
right, it's like a dystopia.
Right, because what do you mean dystopia?
Not, but it's different. So
no, they can't hear you. He left the room, and he's like, they probably can't hear me. Like he's talking to me alone. Bring me something to drink as well. Anyway, I'm going to finish setting up the premise. So in this time, notice that it was through the interference of the United States that North Korea and South Korea become reunified. And under this reunification, they're going to have a new shared currency. Replacing, and this is embarrassing, I do not know what the currency in North Korea is called, but in South Korea they use a won. It's called won. So in this, they have created this kind of what they call the joint economic area. So it's this the former oh my God, why am I drawing a blank on what the word is? the divide, the place of the divide between the two countries is now this joint area, right? And that's where their mint is located, that is going to, or that is producing this new currency, right? And so in the series, it is a group of robbers led by a man named the Professor who pull off a heist to break into this mint. Now, the police think that at first that they were trying to rob it for some, quick money, and they got busted accidentally. And we learned that that's not the case, that the robbers want it to be held up inside there because what they're really doing is printing money.
Right.
Untraceable money. So their plan has always been to be in here a few days.
Yeah.
Right. And all of the robbers were strangers prior to this, except Denver and Moscow, who are father. Moscow is Denver's father, and each robber takes on the name of a city in the world, right? So you have Tokyo, Rio, Denver, Moscow, Helsinki, Oslo, Berlin, Nairobi. Did I say Rio? I think that's it, right? So let's talk about the changes. So one change is that the cop in charge of this investigation, the hostage negotiation and all that, Wu Jing is her name in this series. She and the professor have a romantic relationship without her knowing that he is the professor, right? That he is the mastermind behind this heist that she's trying to resolve. And in the original, they meet during the heist, like the day of or some shit, and he plans it. But here, he plans them having this relationship, but he started
falling in love with her.
No, but it started before the show began.
Well, yeah, I mean,
they were dating.
The relationship and stuff had started,
right.
But
that's what I'm saying. But
it was all part of. He was never in love with her, and that's what the whole thing at the end of episode 6. He realizes that he does love her. No,
I know, but what I'm saying is I'm just pointing out the differences from the first one. Yeah, yeah. So the only thing that's different is that the relationship existed beforehand. Right. He fell in love with her in the other one too.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I'm just pointing out differences right now. And I like that because it makes the female character look less incompetent, right? It's not like, girl, how do you trust somebody so fast that you just met? Well, no, they didn't just meet, So she has no reason to associate him with this heist, you know what I mean? Like this day or anything, right? Whereas in the other one, it's like at some point you do have to, and she eventually does, start to question the guy you met that day, who then stormed into the tent.
Several of them did, didn't they?
Huh?
I thought several of them did. Like they... Didn't several people in the tent question?
Well, yeah. That's what I mean. Eventually, right? But I mean, I think it makes it look better that they had a relationship prior, and that she, like, it makes sense that she doesn't doubt him or that she defends it or whatever. Because whereas before it's like, girl, why are you going so hard for a guy you just met?
Right.
Whereas here she didn't, so it makes her look a bit more competent, I think. But her husband is still abusive.
But he's not a
he's
cop.
He's a politician. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think he's like, they think he's going to want to run for president in South Korea.
And it comes out that he's behind the heist, isn't he? Or he's some kind of involvement in it?
No. How? Why do you say that?
I thought there was something with he was talking to the professor in like a flashback. And for some reason, I thought he was responsible for setting this whole thing up.
No, it was... Oh, man, no. It was just something about... Like, when they were going back to, like, planning the mint or something like that. And I think that's another difference. Is that in this version, apparently, the professor has some sort of... Like in the Spanish version, it was the whole thing about his dad being a thief.
Living to his dad.
Right. And here, I feel like it's going to have something to do with
politics.
Yeah. I mean, they did set up in the beginning that when they're doing the narration into what this whole thing is, like, you know, the joint economic area, how when they proposed it, it was like, this is going to be good for both countries. It's going to like elevate the wealth of, you know, the society of both countries. Thing, yeah. But then it absolutely only made the rich got richer and, you know, the poor got poorer, as this tends to be the case. So I feel like it does still have that element where, like you said, like, you know, but in Spain where it was kind of a revolution and giving back to the people.
Right.
And exposing like corrupt government and stuff. Another thing that's different is Rio and Tokyo are not, they're the opposite. They're not in a relationship. There's no, so, and I think that what contributes to both of them being not annoying. I was going to say less annoying, but not annoying at all.
Right.
Because they don't have that whole, they're doing stupid things for love.
Right.
Jeopardizing this very important mission where things are happening to people. For instance, like, I think at one point, I won't say what, again, and just in case people still want to go watch the Spanish one, but I feel like in the original, Tokyo does something that gets somebody seriously hurt. Like, not deadly, but like they get seriously hurt because of something with her and Rio, like not paying attention or doing, you know.
Right.
So I'm glad that we kind of like, you guys probably hear Nico in the background like fussing because he's in the room with Kaylee with the door closed and he wants to come out here and be a nuisance. But yeah, so we don't get any of that.
No.
And I like that.
And I felt like there was, because I felt like in the other series there was a lot more, like when they go out and run out the building because of his Denver's father runs out. I felt like there was more incidents than that. Like somebody got shot early on that led to the...
Well, yeah, but they did it here too. Rio gets shot, but he had the vest on.
Right.
Yeah. But
I felt like there was we actually had somebody get...
Yeah, there's the thing... Well, yeah. I think the thing with Moscow is both the same. Like, he almost has like a heart attack or something because he thinks that his son killed this woman or whatever. And then he's going to like turn himself in. Because it turns out...
Denver got shot twice, maybe, in the Spanish show. I can't remember.
Why are you spoiling the Spanish show by that?
Sorry.
I said we're not going to do that. So... And then another thing that's different, I guess I should say, in terms of, like, the background, is Tokyo is from North Korea. And it's interesting because when we meet her, she's narrating just like Tokyo did in the Spanish one. And when we meet her, she is in North Korea. It's before reunification. And she's talking about how she sneaks and watches and consumes South Korean pop culture, including BTS. And she's singing to, dancing to their song DNA, but she has to sneak and do it in her room because you know that stuff is considered contraband in North Korea. And she talks about how the BTS's fandom is called the Army, and so she's like, yeah, I'm just like any other Army, except I really had to join the Army. Like, she had to. And so we see she was in the military, and then when the reunification came, like so many others, she moved to the area hoping to eventually immigrate and have a better life, and we see she's taken advantage of. Kind of the same way, like in Squid Game. I forget her character's name. But homegirl, remember? She was from North Korea, and then the smugglers were screwing her over with money. So you see she kind of experiences the same thing. And then with her, do you see the difference in her story? Do you remember
a lot of difference,
when Tokyo was in the Spanish version, she's on the run because her lover, who she'd been robbing banks and stuff with, got shot and killed by the cops.
Right.
And then she shot and killed a cop.
Yeah.
Right? So she's on the run. But here, it was her and that girl. You get that?
Yeah.
That they escaped because they were being taken. That guy was taking advantage. She kills that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, I think, contributes to making her better. A better character. More likable.
Yep.
And then also Rio, I don't think in the Spanish version, in this one, he was a medical student.
Yeah, they didn't. He was
Right, because he's the one who does the surgery, right?
Yeah.
On the girl who.
But remember, in the other one, it was the.
He was just a hacker, right?
Yeah, he was just a hacker, and it was the. I don't know if you want me to say who did the surgeries and stuff like that in the other one.
Was it Tokyo?
Yeah, no, it wasn't Tokyo, but the professor taught them. Remember?
Oh, they started to. Yeah.
But the one that listened was Nairobi.
That's right. But they did kind of. Remember, they showed them trying to train.
Yeah.
We did have a scene like that. So presumably, he did teach some of them.
He tried to, yeah.
He tried to, yeah.
They were all like, he knows how.
They haven't yet touched on whether Helsinki is gay.
No.
And also, are they Chinese? Because, you know, when they're doing the thing where they introduce them right after they pick their names, like they put where they're from, I thought they were from Hong Kong.
They could be.
And I think their names are Chinese.
They could be.
And I'm trying to remember, like, if we've heard... Well, I guess they understand Korean, because I thought that was, like... In the original, they're cousins. I don't think they've mentioned that. I think here they said they're brothers. But in the original, Helsinki and Oslo are cousins. And Oslo doesn't speak, right? But I can't remember why he doesn't speak.
I can't remember.
Because I think he's the... Was it him or the one... Was it him... in the original, which one didn't get rid of the car properly? And the professor was like, I gave you $2,000 for you to get rid of the car. And then he did something where...
It might have been Oslo, but he ended up sending... Because he sent the money to his family.
His family, right. He was like, because my family needs the money now. But I thought it was like... They played it like he was really stupid because he didn't even know what fingerprints were, remember? Mm-hmm. And that was another thing that was different. Because in the original, when they get a bead on the car that they used when they were scoping out the mint, the professor rushes to the junkyard, and he does like
I thought that was a lot more intense than this one was.
Yeah, this one wasn't like in that.
This one was a lot faster.
Yeah.
And it just ended real quickly, but the other one it was like a whole fucking episode.
It was It was like some
intense.
that was like it reminded me of that Breaking Bad episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a very Breaking Bad-ish.
So that was different. Not too much different with Denver and Moscow. Like it's the same, except like I'm trying to remember because I know I won't say what it is. I know there's a reveal about Denver and Moscow's relationship, like with Denver's mother, and like her leaving the family. And here, though, the way they talked about it, it made me feel like they're not going to do it.
No.
Because they didn't have Moscow behave in a way, like to me, that he was keeping a secret.
Right.
But I could be wrong. But the thing with the Arturo character, the bank, the mint manager having the affair, all of that's the same. As is him, Denver shooting her.
She comes out and says that she wasn't pregnant. She isn't pregnant. So is she pregnant or is
yes,
she not
pregnant? Is. I think she is. I think she was lying.
Right now, they don't think she's pregnant because she's told them she wasn't pregnant.
Right. But I think she is. Okay. I think she saw the way he behaved.
Right. And that was something that was different. So it's just like...
At least, I mean, that's what I think.
I did like the phone thing. I liked that a lot. How they switched it from him
he had
a burner phone.
It was
his Apple Watch.
His Apple Watch.
And I was like, that's smart because your Apple Watch it has to be attached to your phone.
Yeah.
I like that.
That was really smart. Another difference, I think, because some of the people in there are North Korean and South Korean, they use that against each other. They're playing on the fact that some of these people still have distrust of each other.
Right.
And don't see themselves as unified in there, you know?
Mm-hmm. The one thing I did, another one that was weird is the little girl, because in the other one, she's the ambassador's daughter. So she was...
Yeah, here she's an ambassador's daughter too, but to the United States. Okay. Yeah, she's the South Korean embassy. Yeah.
To the United States. Or anything like that. And so I felt that like in the first one, that she was just a very important piece to the puzzle, to their heist, that she hasn't been.
Well, she kind of Well, no, she is.
Have, like outside, they haven't said like it felt like they knew right away. Oh, this girl's in there, but in this one they haven't. In these they haven't.
Yeah, they did. Remember her parents?
I don't remember.
They had the whole thing where when she goes inside, when the cop Woo Jin goes inside to verify that everybody is still alive, they were focusing on her parents sitting in the audience because of who her father is. That's what the big deal was. Her father, and then when it all like went to shit. The cop's ex-husband, who the politician, remember, because he was up at the podium kind of running everything. When it goes to shit, right? Because remember, we'll talk about it. So another thing that was different was the cop, which we'll go back and talk about. But so Woo Jin thought she was going to do something and be like, this cop, where is he? You killed him, blah, 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 on TV, because she figured out that they have the public opinion on their side. So she wanted to flip it. And when that blows up in their face, and everybody is like, you know, what happened? What was... Oh, because they revealed the plan. Remember, he was supposed to go in there and kill the professor. He had to find out who the professor was and kill him. And they were like, fuck them hostages. So that comes out. The couple that's sitting there, like all upset, everybody's treating like the president and everything, that's her parents.
Okay.
And then Woo Jin's ex at the end tries to like, sir, like, I don't know. And the guy is like, so it's like, it's fucking her ex over because he's, you know, because it's all political out there. Okay. But the one thing that is different with her, though, is that they don't make her have like a sexual relationship with that boy in the bathroom. Like they cut off.
She took
like,
her own picture of her.
Right. But it wasn't like they didn't do the whole, it's a dirty picture that she wants to get off the internet, like all that stuff. I just feel like in certain South Korean shows, cinema stuff, they're just not going to do stuff like that. And I think that's probably why they don't have Woo Jin have this new relationship with the professor. But I will say they had a steamy sex scene. I haven't seen steamy sex scenes like that in a lot of K-dramas. The ones I have has typically been like the Netflix backed K-dramas.
Yeah.
But anyway, but yeah, so when the cop, that was different. So there's the one thing I was so like frustrated because I felt like you took a long time to watch these, like, because I wanted to talk about this part in particular. I felt like they weren't going to do it. I felt like it happened differently in the Spanish version, but when Arturo gets shot, and I called him Arturo. That's not his name in this show. I'm twisting my hair so I can't pull up my notes. I'm sorry, you guys. And
he got shot. He didn't get shot on the roof like he did.
Right, but it was similar. They were out front and they all had the masks on and they couldn't tell who was who.
Right.
And then she ordered the shot that got him shot. So, so he gets shot and they send in the cops. And another thing that's different is the other guy in the tent, the other cop that's kind of like has, you know, any kind of pull in that tent, is from North Korea, because that was a rule in the investigation. Remember, they wanted equal representation from both North Korea and South Korea on the investigation team. He goes in pretending to be a doctor. But because the professor was in the tent before with the phone call thing, he knows that it's a cop and that they're being tricked. And Berlin calls him out while they're performing the surgery. And it's stupid because he's like so obviously, he's like, hand me the scalpel. And he's like, even I know what a fucking scalpel. I could look at a fucking tray of surgical tools to tell you which one was a scalpel. But yeah, so when they find that out, that's like the information they like, not leak, but in the confrontation when she goes in there and they air it live, that they had sent in this operation. And so that was all the same. And then, like I said, I thought, oh, they had planned it from the beginning, right? When he came in there, that they were going to have Rio put a bug in the guy's glasses. But they had planned it in the Spanish version. Like, we saw they had planned it beforehand.
Right.
So we were watching the glasses the whole time. Remember when they went through the thing? He didn't put
in the glasses in this one, though.
No, he put it in the phone, wasn't it? Right, that's what I'm saying. But we knew. So here, when they didn't do it with the glasses, I was
because he had his own implant in his own glasses, so that's why.
Right, they had that. So we thought they were right. So I was like, okay, they're not doing that. Like, all of it, I was like, oh, this is so different. And how is this going to affect the guy sneaking in the vents? Like, because that was the thing, the cops were sneaking in there. So when he realizes that they must be trying to send someone in, they do the mask thing. And for some reason, I just felt like it happened differently in the Spanish version, but maybe I'm wrong. Did it happen the same way?
It's pretty much the same way.
When he was walking out and he had to rush and run to the tent and tell them, call it off because the masks are different. Okay, I didn't remember it happening that way. But this was different because then they realized, oh, they must have gotten in or were trying to get in.
Yeah, because they didn't even get close to getting in when they did it.
Right, in the Spanish.
They were in the tunnels
in the original.
And they got a hold of them.
Right. These guys were like in the kitchen, the room, whatever it was. They came out the vents and then they had to go back up. And you see one guy at the end doesn't, like, he pauses and then they don't show what happened. And later we see he blends in. And then that's where the ambassador's daughter gets most of her screen time because she sees it. She sees him like joining and then covers for him later. Right. And Arturo notices that and then he starts, and I keep saying Arturo, but like that's another thing like he has in common with the original version, that he like used people.
Yes.
Like he gets them to put themselves on the line.
He was already talking about the drugs and the roofies and stuff.
Yep.
In this. Like it took him a while to get into that. Like not until like what, season 3 or like when they were already in the next heist.
Yeah.
When he got into that, but I feel like, and then even this guy, like I said before, this guy seems like the guy they introduced in the 3rd season.
The cop Gandia.
Yeah. This guy reminds me. So they're pulling some stuff from both heists of the Spanish version. Yeah.
But it turns out they wanted you to think that Berlin had killed this cop, but he didn't. And Berlin is terminally ill.
Yes.
Apparently.
But they haven't told us.
They haven't told us. And we still don't know, and I don't want to say what it is because I don't want to be spoilery, but like we still don't know if there is a prior relationship between the professor and Berlin. Like, because I
still think their relationship's the same.
Really?
Yeah.
And we do know Berlin's backstory is he is North Korean. And he was like in a North Korean prison and then he actually like admits that on camera when they are live, remember? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even the leak being who gets leaked. Because remember, in the original one, they leaked people's faces so they could be identified. But that was always part of it. Like, kind of like the plan was some people were going to be leaked. Mm-hmm. But it almost like this one, they leaked them different. Like, I think it wasn't Rio. I forget who they leaked here. Because remember, they tried.
It was him in Nairobi. Rio and Nairobi. I think Rio and Nairobi get leaked in this one.
Okay.
I think.
Because remember, they tried using Rio in the other one. By getting to his parents and stuff.
Right.
What do you think of Nairobi?
I don't like her like I like the other one.
Either.
Yeah, it's like
I don't like the professor like I like the other one either.
It feels like
she's trying too hard.
I was just gonna say, I was literally just, those were exactly gonna be my words. And the only reason I didn't say them is because I had to stop twice to make sure that's what I wanted to say. I was just like, is it that? Is it? Yes. Is she tries too hard. But I also feel like another difference, they're not, I feel like this professor isn't on top of it as the other.
I felt like the other one was just so. This one's not.
This one, it just it felt like. But then I wonder if, because I will tell you, I remember not taking the first season that seriously because it felt like you just knew, like he knew everything. So it was just a matter of not if they're gonna get out of it. It was just how, like what forethought did this smart ass motherfucker have to make it so that they're gonna get out of this. But I know they're gonna get out of it. We're here, I'm like, I know they're gonna get out of it, right? Like, are they? Because I don't have that faith where, so this one's a bit more believable, like where, but I mean he still is doing stuff like having him drill and making the people the hostages think that they're just drilling to make an escape. But tell her she can let him out. Because I think we're almost done. And here in this one, Denver has sex with the girl, right? That happens before this ends, right? Because I know there's like a scene where she's like fantasizing about it, or Arturo is, but then I think it actually happens. And again, so far they haven't made Berlin be
a creeper. Yeah,
a creeper like he was. And I do like that they're doing just like in the first one, the original, where he's terrible, but he be making points. Mm-hmm. Like, he was right. Like those, I do feel like there was the same, like I've had the same frustration with the robbers sometimes. We're feeling like they're being, like they're not paying attention when they should be paying attention, and where Berlin was trying to tell them, like, sometimes we were too nice with these people, and that's how Arturo was able to do as much plotting as he did. But I did like, on the other hand, I like that again they're kind of used their status as North Korean, South Korean against each other, to the point where when he said the whole, it doesn't matter, like, if the South Koreans fuck up, we're punishing the North Koreans, and vice versa. That's obviously different from the original. And I like that, and it works because it makes it so that Arturo is now being watched. You know what I mean? He effectively made it so that they were self-surveilling each other.
Right.
And so the big thing is, they tried to, the ambassador's daughter used one of the printed bills to write a note to tell the cops that they're printing money, that the professor's not in the bank or the mint, which they know. The cops know that. And one other thing, I feel like it was like one other thing that she wanted to snitch that the cops don't know. But either way, she writes it and she slips it in or she wanted to slip it in
her jacket.
Jacket, right.
When she came in.
Right. But a piece of it.
Because they caught her.
Right.
And they took it from her where she got a piece of the corner.
It got ripped, right. And it was in the jacket. And so that's what the Woojin finds at the end.
Right.
And for some reason, I thought she was going to read it and discover something. And you were like, no, it's just going to jog her. She's going to realize that they're printing money. I was like, oh, duh, yeah, that makes sense. That makes more sense. So, but yeah, I've enjoyed it. I think those changes are good changes so far. Again, I don't want to say too much. I hope they continue with how they've been treating the character of Berlin. I don't think you need to make him as terrible as the original did. Definitely don't have him doing some of the stuff he did. I think that's really all I have to say. I was trying to think if there's any more differences. The cop being in there is definitely different and interesting, especially if they go the route of him being the Gandia character.
Angel being different.
Yeah. And feeling like, oh yeah, and he shows up, right? He shows up at the professor's shop.
Right.
At the end.
He's still suspect to him, but he doesn't have...
Even though she told him, right, but yeah, they did all of that and made him not be a toxic creeper.
Right.
And I like that, see, because it tells you it's possible to have those stories and not do those things. So there's no excuse. You don't have to abuse women in your storylines all the time to keep your story going. So anyway, that's it. Right?
Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for waiting. Like I said, next weekend, we don't have any movies to go see. We went to the movies today, so that ate up some of our time. But yeah, we have a little bit of a lull, and we'll be able to sit down and finally share our thoughts on the original Money Heist finale. In the meantime, we have Only Murders in the Building coming up. Me, John, and Donnie just covered the most recent 3 episodes of that. I'm wondering if we want to try to do a podcast tomorrow about Nope. I don't know. We watched it. I kind of want to think about it some more. Like, God, it was so good. It was so good. Anyway, so maybe we should do a podcast on that. But we do have a lot of great stuff coming up. So as always, thank you guys for subscribing. And we will talk to you next time.